Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, November 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first off, any public comments? We have any public comments? Seeing none, any correspondence?
No.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to add one thing to the end of the agenda. I'm sure you'll be simple. I'd like to add to the agenda consideration of the appointment of Thomas Babcock to the or as tenant commissioner to the Bethel Housing Authority.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll put that at the end of the agenda. I know it was like an ominous agenda, but I think we'll go quickly. All right. I move we approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of October 3rd, 2023. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have to abstain. I was in Disney.
Okay. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention. Motion passes. I move we accept the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of October 6th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll abstain.
Okay, same as before. I looked at this, I didn't see anything that was an issue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. You got that, Kathy?
Yeah.
Outstanding. I move we accept the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of October 17th, 2023.
Second.
And I think everybody was at this, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no, motion passes. Okay. I make a motion that we approve the sale of 20 Trowbridge Drive. Do you have a second?
Sorry,
We'll do discussion. Okay, what?
you skipped over
Yeah,
that.
we
Did I do the last one?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I I move they approve the public hearing minutes of October 30th, 2023 for the sale of 20 Trowbridge Drive.
Second.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion carried. Okay, so I move that we approve the sale of 20 Trowbridge Drive. Have a second?
Second.
Okay. For the discussion. We've had the public hearing. We didn't have much of a turnout, but much like the other properties, this was a huge win for the town. The original asking price was $318,750. The accepted offer at the end of the day was $410,000. And we had already, recouped all the investment that we had in the 4 properties. So this was gravy. And I publicly thank the folks from the EDC. I see Mike up there. I'm not sure if that's Mike from the EDC, Mike Boyle, Janice Christianic, and all the other people who worked on this. It was pretty terrific.
That's me, Dan.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you
You're
for all
welcome.
this. I appreciate it. Any other discussion or additions from anybody? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll try your minds. All in favor of the sale of Trowbridge Drive?
Aye.
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 And no opposed, motion carries. Okay. All right, so I move with the accept the settlement of the Bethel Healthcare Realty LLC. Do I have a second?
Second.
Of course. All right, so I'll tell you what, I'll give it over to the assessor and you can
Okay.
run us through it.
All right, the last reval, 2017, Bethel Healthcare was 15,921,500. through the 2022 revaluation, the assessment, well, I mean, the market value changed to 16,621,600. Bethel Healthcare did go to the Board of Assessment Appeals, and we denied their change of an assessment. They then took us to court to sue, and came up with one of their appraisers. They came up with a market value of 13,150,000. Considering that they were saying that the building is not really in the best shape, which we, we're differing in that, because I do think Bethel Healthcare is a good condition building, not an old building. We did go counter back and forth. We went, to the 15,921,500, which was based on the 17 reval. They came back with the 14,885,800. We then went back to finally, and I did some research on it, taking off personal property, about $1 million worth of personal property, giving it a better ratio and a cap rate about 12.5. And I come up with about 15.5. I think we should be around, and that's where our appraiser came in, about 15.5s. So they came back at 14,885. We said no. We went to 15,500 for the first year, 15,100,000 for year 2 and 3, and then 15,250,000 for year 4 and 5. And that's what we have so far come to agreement with.
What was it prior to this?
The 15,921,500 for 17.
15.
What happened is we've seen a big influx of, they have more Medicaid patients than that they had in prior years. So I think with COVID and everything, you've seen a really big uptick on their losses of income because of Medicaid.
Okay.
So,
But what,
So that affects them because they're a skilled nursing more so. They do have some affordable, not affordable, some
like assisted living.
assisted living. Thank you very much, Richard. But a majority of their vetting is all for skilled nursing.
But is this on their, just this assessment's on their real estate, not the patients they have, correct?
Well, it's based on, income approach. So you go by the income of the property.
In the settlement, or that's how you do every assessment?
What do you mean? We don't do
Well-
we've got 4 suits that we have.
Right, so I guess my question is. This was valued, the real estate in 2017 was valued at 15,000,009.
9.
There was no calculation of income or anything during that evaluation, correct?
Yes, there is always income.
Yeah.
Valuation.
If I just asked you that, you said you don't do that for every property, for every commercial property, they look at.
Commercial, we do the income approach. We value properties based on the income approach. For residential, you use the sales comparison approach. And then for new buildings, you use the cost approach.
Steve, would you mind please running through that schedule?
For the
For
last,
for
how it
the-
would work?
Yeah.
So 15,500,000 for the first year.
Yeah.
We got 15,100,000 for the year 2 and 3. 15,250,000 for year 4 and 5. And then we go back to the next reval, and hopefully by then, I'm hoping that there'll be more, not as much skilled nursing as they are. Because I do think that they're changing from that.
But if they did a significant improvement to the building, would it affect?
It
And-
still would go by even the, a lot of times we'll have improvements, HVAC they did, and that added, what did I tell you? That was over 114, but they had HVAC, they got new HVAC. That doesn't change a value. It may change the cost per se, but not the income. The income is really in what could that property derive from those improvements. Some improvements are just getting things up to date, ADA bathrooms. Those are not gonna change the income that's coming into the property.
So it's a two-prong, it's income plus the property.
Correct, because I'll have a cost approach, but I also have an income approach. So we always look at them all, but we have to go with what is the highest and best way to value those properties, and it would be the income.
Okay,
that it generates.
thank you.
But it was Tyler,
So they have, oh, I was just gonna say, their net operating income was actually higher than ours, so we adjusted that. Our net operating income was $2,075,412. That's the after expenses, and vacancy loss. They did come to the conclusion that they have $2,483,076, so we adjusted that. And that's where I came up with some numbers to validate that 15.5, where I thought we really should be around. It's also, you know, is it worth going to court? I mean, if we go to court and they come up with 13.5 and that judge decides to settle it in between, we could lose more. We've already spent about $12,000 on between attorney and appraisers. So those things you have to also look at.
Yeah, excuse me, can I say something, Mr.
Yeah, go
Chair?
ahead, Cory.
I just wanted to say, just very simply, that comes out to about $26,000 less a year. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but not when you're taking in $300,000 or $330,000. And you go to court, it's always a toss-up. You don't know what's going to happen. It's their expert against your expert. If their expert sounds better that day to the judge, then you've got a problem. So I think that under the circumstances, from what I've seen in the assessment appeals I've dealt with before, this is pretty fair, I think, in the long run.
And we have seen quite a bit of judge changeovers,
Yes.
and that could also affect us maybe in a negative way. We're not, it's all to find out, you know, eventually.
That is important.
Yeah,
That's an important thing. We do this in the break.
some of ours have retired or gone on to
Yeah.
different courts, so that's something you have to take into consideration.
Well, and you always have to remember too, it never goes up when you go to
No.
court. It's always going to go down, either stay the same or going to go down, one or the other.
when, is it Tyler Technologies assesses these?
Yes,
Do they look at income or are they just looking at?
they
real
looked at the
estate
income
value?
as well.
And their assessment was what?
That was the market value 16,621,600.
I guess why the difference between, so big of a difference in between what they gave us and Tyler? Is it Tyler didn't
Well,
take into
there's different
account?
things you can dispute. You can dispute, you know, we had a
Yeah.
10.5 cap rate, they had a 12.5 cap rate. I mean, you can start to argue some of those loaded cap rates. You can argue income, which we looked at. You know, how much are they losing? Is it all the Medicaid? Are they really losing a higher percentage of their money and not keeping as much as they did the last reval? I think COVID definitely affected that 100%.
Yeah,
You know, in 2027, will we see it go back? I hope so, you know.
yeah, I think they have a lot more Medicaid patients
lot of
now
Medicaid.
than
Right.
private paid because they've cut back on the rehab and stuff there, so isn't it?
Yeah. And Marty, correct me if I'm wrong, we had outside counsel, correct?
That's
We had
correct.
outside counsel on this, who recommended we take the settlement.
That's correct.
Looking at how many beds, but I don't have that in here, the number of beds. That were Medicaid, but I can get that if you needed that information.
There's something in your, that you're not gonna believe, Brian?
I think if you look at the realistic of were we maybe too high at the original with the rebound, and if we get down to where I can justify when I start doing my numbers at the 15.5, we're really not far off from that. We're really
Yeah.
looking for 15,250, 15,1, 15.5. If you look at it really where it should be, and maybe were we a little too high on this valuation? Could it be, you know, different cap rates? Would we justify that cap rate by changing it? You know, the higher cap rate, the
Yeah.
lower the value.
I guess just my thought is I think of all the homeowners whose houses got assessed at the height of the market.
Mhm.
And where are they right now?
I mean, they're a little bit different basis, right? Because they.
I
They're still
understand,
gonna pay.
I understand, but they don't have the
Yeah.
ability you know,
Just so-
to sue and take the town to court and.
But we had a residential.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
All
In
right,
fact, there was one this year. There was one this year, a homeowner sued the town and this board agreed with the assessment that was worked out between the homeowner and the assessor's office. I know it's not as easy. I understand that because there's not as much money at stake.
and even at that 15.5, they are paying $308,000 in taxes. They are also paying based on the personal property of, if that's at $1 million, that they pay, you know, an assessment on that as well. 28,000 there. 280, sorry.
And I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that one more time?
If they're OSI and they have $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think that's depreciated, oops. Times by 0.243 equals, oh, I don't know what I did there. I think it's $1 million they have.
Well, she does.
So they're gonna pay 308,000 and change on their real estate, 28,000 on and change on their personal property.
They also have another lot, correct?
And they have another one. So that's little.
Why did we front load it at 15.5 and then dropped it down?
Well, the
Why?
15.5 we did because of we were already accounting for some money, so I'd rather take out, we're in the middle of this year already, this tax year, so that's why I tried to front load it a little. Because we're already into our grand list, into our tax year. Then I went down the 2 years, but at the end, I want to go up a little again, because I know if it goes up and we're ending it at 15.1, then that's a big jump again, and they could, you know, they could still go to suit no matter what. But I would rather try to take the little bit in the middle, lower it down, and then start bumping it up again for the last 2 years. That was my reasoning.
Marty, is it something in your opinion we could like come up with a guess of what it would cost us to go to court for something like this? What would normally cost us?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how much time is spent. The last one we went to court on, which we didn't fare very well, we had outside counsel then, and well, a lot of effort went into it. We were very surprised. We got hit pretty bad by the judge. And I know it costs a lot of money. I mean, you know, do I think that this is going to cost $100,000 to go to court, the difference over the 5 years? No, I don't. But at the same time, it's still going to be substantial, and it's hanging out there, and they will continue to pay. And then assuming that if there is something that goes in their favor, what's going to happen is we're going to have to refund money to them. And in certain cases, they can ask for interest in the money. Very seldom is it granted, but it could be granted. So, you know, I think in this case, like I said, it's not, I don't foresee this as being a major problem. And I think it's well within what we've settled before and what we've dealt with. Like I said, the only place we can go once we go to court is down. We can't go up.
Or the judge could agree with you.
Very seldom does that happen.
But
I
I hate to say that, but very seldom does that happen.
Well, I mean, we're talking about what, almost $1 million reduction in Tyler's assessment of the property.
But you'd already lowered that when you went into this, though, correct? When you actually gave them the assessment was a 15.9,
No, they were,
no?
no, that was the last, that was
That was last
17,
year.
okay,
So Tyler was at 16,
621.
621, and we agreed with their assessment at the start.
Yes,
I think that's, they had to make that based on the business cost, because property did not go up substantially. I mean, commercial property went up about,
Yeah, that was part of the problem.
because you're trying to get a lot from their
14%.
income and expense reports, and it's very limited of what they give us in their income and expense reports. Once you get to a suit, then you're more apt to, they're gonna give you more background, more information. So we do try to get income and expense reports. We try to get what are their expenses, what is the you know, the money they're getting, whether it's skilled nursing or the, you know, assisted living.
Yeah.
Um,
But the actual property value.
But Tyler, you said looked at those, right?
that's what they're looking at is what the best information. We were, like I said, if you look, we're off, then they actually had a little bit more income, but their losses were. We had a little bit higher in their losses.
I'm comfortable taking the settlement. Personally, I don't think we're gonna win based on history. I don't
And like I
it.
said, I'm not even total done right now, and I know we're about 12,000 in fees already.
Sure.
So that's something you have to look at, whether we like it or not.
Well, yeah, it's a mitigating the risk. What do we think?
And the judge could say, I'll split it in the middle, and then we gotta pay more and still take that loss for an appraiser, a full appraisal. And a court time.
Plus, the other thing that adds to the cost is that this is not going to be litigated in Danbury. It'll be removed if has it already been removed? I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the present.
So it's in New Britain, so it's even more of an effort and time-wise for everybody to go to New Britain on and off in order to get this thing resolved or tried.
Right, yeah.
What thoughts? Are you satisfied to make a vote, yes or no?
We can make a vote for sure.
Sure.
I just really question.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just thinking about the average homeowner and how their assessment went up.
Yeah.
And. They go to the board assessment appeals, whatever happens, happens, and.
Yeah.
It just seems like a $1.2 million difference in assessment seems pretty large. I'm just curious as to how Tyler came so high, and then we're disagreeing with them, saying, oh, you overvalued it by $1 million. Just. I mean, the numbers don't really change that much, right?
Good, based on what they present to
Well,
us.
they presented us,
So they present
13?
additional information.
Yeah,
they give us
Yeah,
like
13,
13.
150.
Yeah. I mean, they really go on.
I understand.
13,150.
I mean, I understand from the average homeowner's perspective, especially the middle class. Because of the pandemic, middle class got totally hammered in Bethel. And I know that some went to the second appeal, some of them got, some cut off, some didn't. And it's
For me, it's just about equity.
I understand.
It's just about equity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we could always send a message to the middle class by going to court, and we may lose money, but
But also remember, when we lose some.
Yeah.
Not that I wanna lose any money, believe me, but we also are having constantly COs and different things going on that helps in an asset as well.
Yeah.
So,
Any further thoughts? Okay, so I'd like to amend the motion, and I'll read it out specifically, okay? So I move that we consider, excuse me, I move that we approve the settlement of Bethel Healthcare Realty LLC for 15,500 year one, 15
million.
I'm sorry, 15,500,000, thank you. Year one, 15,100,000 year two, 50,100,000 year three, 15,250,000 year four, and 15,250,000 year five. Have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? One nay. Okay. And with that, motion carries. I move that we pass to the Board of Finance the approval to replace a radio repeater at the Spring Hill Tower. I have a second.
Second.
Okay. So looking at G1 in our packet, utility communications. In fact, I'll just pass it off to our emergency management director. Tom, you want to say a few words about why we're doing it?
Sure, right, so the repeater at Spring Hill has several radios, right, it has the police radio, fire, and public works radio. This is the public works radio or repeater. About a year and a half ago, it started having some issues. We had them look at it. They fixed it once, and then they realized that after that, it pretty much was at end of life. They're, I think, close to 20 years old or more. So they were able to give us a refurbished one for, I think it was like $2,000. And we put that in to get us by because the new one would have taken like 6 to 8 months at the time it was bought during when equipment was very difficult to get. So we bought a refurbished one, lasted about a year and a half or so, and now it's on the fritz again, so we just gotta buy a brand new one. So this is for the public works channel that they use for storms and whatnot, and then police and fire also use that as a backup. If our radio system breaks down, if our frequency or our repeater goes down, we use that as a backup. Or like another operations channel, so. That price is, I got the price from Utility Communications and I asked them, is this on the state bid? And he actually says that the state bid is, the state bid price is 15% off of list, which would have been $88.91 for the radio. So it's actually their regular everyday price is less than the state contract price. So,
It's worth noting that, yeah, I've had considerable conversations with the highway department. You know, usually that radio is used during storms. It's not all the time. They don't have radios in all the trucks, but they have handhelds. The real value in this, I believe, is that it's our only backup frequency. It's really the only one we used. You know, if something does happen in the community, it's our backup frequency for the police and fire. You know, they routinely use it. So I think it's a small price to pay in the big scheme of things to have that actually working.
and it is like a 3-month lead time for it, so.
Okay.
But that's just the nature of the business now with any kind of electronic devices. There's everything is so back ordered.
I'm just sorry, none of the trucks have repeaters in them though?
No,
No.
because there's pretty much coverage in town will go anywhere in town on a mobile radio because of the wattage. It'll reach Spring Hill and then
Yeah.
repeat back throughout the town and to the police station via the microwave link. And whatnot. Yeah.
And is Spring Hill one of the places you're looking, have you guys determined for the Bergstrom well yet, or that you still haven't
I
decided?
know they were looking at that for the Bergstrom well. I'm not, I know they were looking at that site, yeah, for all the.
For the radio?
Yeah, the academy for the public utility, yeah.
Very straightforward. In fact, what I'll do is I'll amend the motion to add the amount. Is that we didn't have that until now, so.
Do we need a contingency or is this a set price?
That's the set price with programming, yeah, and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Good, awesome.
Okay. So, I move that we approve the replacement of the radio repeater at Spring Hill Tower to be sent to the Board of Finance to be taken out of capital non-recurring in the amount of $8,535.10.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion carries. Kathy, did you get all that? Yep. Okay, outstanding. Okay. So. See, we don't have any documents for the next one. So. Say again. Oh, yeah, of course.
You don't have to say.
Yeah,
that.
if you would.
I could leave my,
Yeah, no,
I was gonna say for Greenwood, but I didn't know if I
Yeah,
should.
Well, I don't know what screen would.
yeah, the tax
155.
assessment. We're basically just transferring that over.
You don't need me.
It's really not, it's
Good.
pretty straightforward.
That's good.
Okay, yeah,
Good night.
we can do that, Tom, you do if you want. Okay.
Tom, we'd like you to say. Well, you know that. We'd
I'm
like
gonna
you
be
to say.
playing at 6 in the morning.
Oh, all right.
Bye-bye.
All right, so
good night.
next up, I'll make a motion for discussion of the approval applications for holiday displays for Tea Park Square. Have a second? Second discussion, all in favor for discussion? Aye. And none opposed? Okay. So we have a number of holiday display requests. First up, we have the Bethel United Methodist Church Nativity Display, the creche. We have the menorah, also from the Bethel United Methodist Church. From individual Sherry Axel, and this is the. What's theirs? What is the holiday banner from? Let's say it, it's still on here.
It's on the back of the.
Oh, there it is. Yep, the vinyl banner, the happy human light banner. Human light? Oh, human light. And then also we have the from James Nadio, which I believe is the atheist banner, happy holiday season. So these are the standard banners that, displays that were up the previous year. Now the only thing that I would add for consideration is that right now the setup really begins on the 25th. Since we've moved the actual tree lighting from the 24th, we could move that day up, and we certainly can have it required to be taken down by the, I think it was moved to the Sunday after,
January 6th.
in January 6th to Saturday. We can give it till Sunday to Saturday. I know there's been an
Yeah.
ask for that, if that was okay by everybody.
Well, there was a question came up about wires and stuff.
Yeah.
If they set up earlier,
Yeah,
because they're still gonna use it for the holiday fair.
Yeah.
Green.
Can I just make a point
Yeah.
on these applications? Timothy Martin has actually provided us with certificates of liability.
Yeah.
These are actual certificates.
Ah, okay.
They've provided us with quotes, not an
Yeah.
actual certificate of liability. So,
So here's
I see.
here's the thing, I should have added this. In our conversations, they asked, well, and specifically, it was a quote, it wasn't the actual thing. We've told them that we would do this contingent on having the actual insurance policy before. So I think, I know with Mr. Nadio, it was brought up that they would, actually get the insurance once they knew the board of selectmen had actually approved the ability to do it. They didn't want to pay for insurance if somehow got.
well, the other
Yeah.
thing too, according to their quote.
Yeah.
They would have to remove their displays by 12/31. The insurance ends on 12/31.
Right, we would require them to have a certificate of insurance that went through the entire time. And that was,
These things too, they said
Yeah.
12/31 to quotes.
basically told them, I mean, we understand that.
Yeah.
That it would have to be through the time. So your point is, we would approve this contingent on us getting a certificate that carried them through.
The certificate,
All
a
the way through.
certificate of liability, not a quote.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like Tim did. I
And
mean,
and by the
I
way,
see
and
there.
for both.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
one of the things, that he actually came back and they said, well, Mr. Nadio would have it added to Sherry Excel's, and we said, well, you have to have your name on it. So at the end of the day, we have to have both organizations covered for the contract. And when we do it, we can make that contingent.
Sure.
Good catch. I think the other question is, do we want to consider, like we said, moving it up a week? Yeah, and just, allowing them to put it in there, make sure we put the wires out of the way where they're, because people are on that green all the time
Yeah.
during the holiday. One resident brought up that the concern about the wires, that if they had it up during Winterfest, it would be a problem. I don't think I see it that way, but you've seen it a long time, Rich. Do you think the wires? are a
Well,
problem?
we never had it up before then, so,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Yeah,
The tree lighting's the Friday after Thanksgiving, right?
right,
The week after,
right.
so December 2nd. Or no.
No,
December
no,
1st.
it's that week of.
Oh, so the 24th.
24th. So there was some interest, instead of setting this up the 25th, the day after, allowing them to put up those things so they're there for Winterfest. So that way, when folks come, they have the crash, they have manure, they have all the things out there for
Right.
Winterfest. And I think that's a good idea. I think we just have to be careful with the wires and just be aware.
No, I don't have.
No, and that would be, let me just check here real quick. What the date is, the Saturday previous.
Be the 20.
Yes, we do
This
that.
Saturday before the 20.
Yeah.
25th would be the 18th, right?
Yeah,
Or just tell them that they can put it up. And
Do you
I
want,
would say.
do
probably
you
November
want
18th.
to put it up before? Because we moved the lighting ceremony to here because of traffic and safety
Yeah.
concerns. We really want to
Yeah.
have them up before the lighting. We laid all the lights.
Well, I mean, people are gonna still be using the square and it's gonna be blocked off. I think the issue is that at the end of the event, you have so many people packed in that spot. God forbid anything crazy happens, people will be trampled.
and thought to was have the tree lighted up there anyway,
Oh,
because when
I
they
get
do
it.
the horse carriage around, that they
Yeah.
can still see it, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you what, So, I move we approve all the application for the holiday displays on PT Barnum Square. Contingent upon making sure we have a certificate of insurance covering the entire time of the display for each of them. And we allow them to put the displays up no earlier than November 18th, and they need to be taken down by December 7th.
January 7th.
I'm sorry, January 7th. Thank you, January 7th. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Marty.
went a little bit too fast there. I was thinking.
Right.
I think too, that what you need to do is add to that, motion that their insurance certificate is to name the town of Bethel as an additional insured.
Okay.
The big difference between just getting a certificate for the town, which just says we have insurance, and then naming the town as an additional insured. If you look at the one that was issued, you'll see that it does say that the town of Bethel is named as an additional insured.
And I believe that's in the application documents that we tell them.
Well,
Do you think we need to add that to the motion?
well, it's up to you, but I think that whoever's gonna review these when they come in, they should make sure that they know that it's supposed to be.
Right.
Okay,
I think we're okay with waiving the path because the applications require it, doesn't it?
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Actually, just says insurance required, it doesn't say.
Yeah, doesn't say.
All right, so I guess technically I can't change a motion that we've acted on. However, I can make a motion to reconsider because I voted in the affirmative with the last one. So I make a motion that we reconsider the motion that I just put up for the holiday displays.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
So what that does for everybody, that kind of resets us back to where we were. The original motion is on the table. So now what we can do is we can amend the motion as appropriate.
I make a motion to amend it to adding that the certificate insurance has to name the town of Bethel as their certificate holder. Is that what it would be, Marty?
no, as an additional insured.
Additional insured. Okay.
So I can consider this as a friendly amendment. So I agree, we'll amend that to the motion. And you've got that, Kathy? Okay, so I'll try to read through it again, just to make sure we got it correct. Okay. I move that we accept all the applications for the holiday displays on PT Barnum Square. With caveat, or there should be contingency, make sure that each of them do a certificate of insurance. For the appropriate amount of time, that'd be November 18th through January 7th. And the certificate must add the town of Bethel as an additional insured. We're also allowing them to put the displays up between November 18th and take them down by January 7th. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed, the motion carries. Marty, thank you. Okay. Yeah, right, that's a good one, huh? Okay, so I noticed that we didn't have any documentations on this, but I guess we do. Okay, this is in fact.
We do.
Excellent.
Star.
Okay, got it. All right, so I move that we pay the remainder of the demolition of the old police station up to $82,000 from ARPA funds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, for discussion now. What we have before us, I mean, we've talked about this along the way, that we had additional expenses from the disposal of vermiculite and the asbestos disposal that we just didn't really know was coming. The original bid for Stanford Wrecking was $194,500, and that's what we approved originally. We had a change order that we approved of $53,103.96. Unfortunately, there's been another change order due to the amount of vermiculite and also finding some lead sand, or I should say, sand with lead in it, number of barrels. That came to a change order of $76,713.68. They did give us a $5,000 credit. Part of this was, we realized that they should have found that beforehand. It was a range for crying out loud. And so they did, give us a $5,000 credit, tried for a little more, But at the end of the day, we felt like that's probably the best we're gonna do. So the delta for that, and adding the disposal of 2 drums of sand brought us to $73,913.68. We also, if you recall, during the last change order, hygienics needed to be there to do the actual watching of the removal of vermiculite. That actually came up to an additional $7,200, leaving us with $8,113.68 left to pay on the disposal of all the vermiculite, asbestos, and the lead sand. I'll say this, it's really kind of difficult and unfortunate. We think we talked about this before, that this wasn't very clear in the quotes that we got from our vendor, from Stanford Wrecking. Feeling like we're kind of stuck on that. But at this point, we have to bite the bullet and have to take care of what we had to take care of. Any other discussion? Either of you guys?
The original bid was 194,000 and
Yep.
The overage is 81,000. It's 50% of the original bid.
Yes. I mean, actually, if you look at the revised total with everything added, it brought the whole project over double there almost.
Yeah.
It was $337,767.
Was
Yeah.
hygienists working for us or were they working for the disposal company?
That's the
Right.
question.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it's so much higher, because they obviously missed the vermiculite, which costs a great deal more to take out.
We had a great deal of discussion as whether or not we could come back on hygienics.
Yeah.
For the miss. I think when we really talked it through, it was difficult because we would have still had to pay that, even if they had to missed it. We would have still had to pay that for the, disposal of the asbestos. So it's kind of hard. I mean, the only decision, we could have made a decision to have it come from other funds, or, I think that's what I'm particularly bent out of shape about, but we could have had it come out of funds, like once we had the property, a plan to put something on it, we could have had it torn down then, but we would have had to pay it anyway. So I think it's very difficult coming back on hygienics. But, Stanford Wrecking, I think, could have been a little more clear about what we were facing, and the fact that they didn't know in that building that there was vermiculite, and that's reprehensible, but
It was in the walls,
in the walls.
Yeah. Inside and blocks.
inside the cinder block.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so any further discussion?
And you want to take it out of the architects.
I think it's really the only place we can still take it out of, and we have the money there. I don't know what else.
Well,
we get.
I don't know if I would approve taking $300,000 out of our.
I wouldn't have.
In the
Yeah.
beginning,
I wouldn't have.
uh,
Yeah.
Well, where do you suggest we take it from?
Well,
Well, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
I'm being
Well,
sincere. I mean,
yeah,
where,
you know,
where
it's,
do
you know,
you
is
think we
there
should take it from?
in
Yeah.
capital non-recurring or anything like that. We're into a new year, so, could this come out of last year's capital non-recurring? I don't know what the.
I know
Last year's
number
gets
was for
carried
the
over,
year.
right?
Yeah,
It's carried,
Yeah.
it's carried over.
given where we are, I think ARPA's the smartest place at this point to come up with that figure. I think it's unfortunate, and it makes me kind of torqued off.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I mean, it's one of these things too. I mean, I'll just hold my.
Actually, what was the second bid? Did we have one bidder on that job?
That was done under the previous administration with the bids. I'd have to go back and look. Yeah.
And we should have looked at the second bidder.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just,
I-
the building's gone, we have
Yeah.
to move it anyway. But,
yeah,
the fact that the architect or the engineer or the consultant comes back to you and say, well, it was there anyway, you would have had to remove it anyway.
Yeah.
But if it was in the original bid, you might have probably gotten a better price for it in the
Yeah.
original bid.
I
After
agree.
the fact, they
Yeah.
sock it to you.
well, I mean, that becomes a question about if we can go after them legally.
Yeah.
Or if we should.
Well,
And
then
that's
you're
where-
spending more money.
I'm sure Stanford, Marty, you probably reviewed the contracts. I'm sure Stanford Home Wrecking had some unseen hazards clause. If they came across something like this, we couldn't hold them liable for, right?
Well, yeah, the big thing was they were relying on the report from hygienics.
Right,
And hygienics didn't have anything in there about vermiculite in the walls, and they just happened to test before they got in there and started to tear everything down, and they found it.
Right.
You know, the real problem with hygienists, which I have a problem with, but I think for the sake of moving on and getting this over with, is the fact that the additional monies that hygienists are charging us, the $7,200, was to monitor the progress of Stanford wrecking. And because they had to deal with this, with the items in the walls, Stanford wrecking took more time to take care of everything than they normally would have. And at the same time, hygienics who missed it or didn't test for it, they're charging us now for additional time to monitor what went on.
did we ask them to take a haircut, Marty?
No, I didn't ask them. I
Well,
know
they-
Eric's been
$5,000
dealing with them.
No, that
we
was
did.
Stanford home rec. That took
We didn't ask
$5,000.
hygienics to take a haircut. We
That's
asked,
what I'm saying, maybe,
Uh.
maybe we approve it up to Stanford home wrecking and then go back to hygienics and say, we'd like. You know, I mean, you
Yeah.
were working for us, you missed this, the delay was because of you.
right.
I mean, why are you charging us for the
Yeah.
additional time when?
The one thing they did, there was, I think we have Brad on the line. Brad, as I understand, there was something in the beginning because of this, they did not charge us. And it was small, but they did not charge us something. And by the way, the reason they had to charge the overage was it was deep that required them to monitor this as part of the permit. It wasn't even their thing, but Brad, was there something that,
Yeah, I don't know if there was something that hygienics didn't charge us for because of this. I know we did, obviously we reached out to Stanford Wrecking. And that's where the
Yeah.
5,000 deduction came in from them. But if it's approved tonight, doesn't mean we have to send it out. We could still go after hygienics and take a haircut too on this.
I think that's legit.
Is there a separate bill from hygienists or hygienists work for Stanford wrecking?
It's separate.
It's separate, okay.
okay. So,
But if you do an amount not to exceed, doesn't mean we need to send it all out.
right,
Okay,
right, okay.
all right, let's do that.
Okay, so I'll just sort of repeat, actually, we did this for discussion, so, I move that we approve, the amount of 82,000, excuse me, up to and not to exceed $82,000 to pay off the demolition of the old police station from ARPA funds, and that will be, up to, but not exceeding 7,200 from hygienics, and the rest remaining from Stanford Wrecking.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay.
Just that do we want to put it in the record that we're gonna go back and negotiate with?
I mean, I think we've established intent
Yeah,
from
we
our
can.
discussion, I think,
Dan says he's gonna do it. he's gonna
Yeah.
do it.
we'll do it.
Yeah, I don't need him.
Okay,
All right.
I think we've established intent, by our discussion in the meeting, and you've got that in the record, right? Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Okay. Okay, I move we approve tax refund, excuse me. I move that we approve tax refunds in the amount of $3,884.64 due to overpayment of taxes.
I'll second it, but we skip the fire department.
I don't think they're after this, are they?
No.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah.
So
So when we go into,
Yeah, that's fine.
we'll do the fire department next. My bad.
I said,
Okay. So I move we approve, the amount of $6,442 for out of ARPA funds for the South Street Fire Department request from EMS ARPA funds that were already approved.
second.
So, chief. Want to go through what we got here?
Gentlemen, have your packet in front of you. I have Judge Dodd with me, who's our EMS captain.
Okay.
To answer any questions you might have, he worked with the river lieutenants to put this packet together. And
Okay.
it's all needed items. And
What do you have remaining in the EMS,
we have a little over
This.
13,000.
13,000 remaining after this?
No,
This is what you,
this will come out of that.
out of the 13,000, okay. Brad, Brad, I know you're on, do you happen to have the ARPA fund amount with you by any chance?
I do. So far, Bethel Fire Department for EMS, or South Street for EMS, has 13,397 before this,
That's my thing.
left.
Okay,
Can I ask a question? The stop the bleed kits, are those like the quick clots? Are those for like your paramedics who go into like hazardous situations, or is it something different? Like, we used to carry the quick clots with us wherever we go, so we could like, is this a different type of thing than that? Or-
It's the same, but it's different. It's gonna be on each ambulance.
Oh, so
The
you're gonna,
chief will have one and the EMS car will have one as well.
Okay.
So in the event of a MCI and the needed items are readily available.
now, do most of your personnel carry them? Like, do the paramedics keep them?
Paramedics have them as well. They're out of Danbury Hospital, so they have
They
their
have their own?
equipment. We have a smaller version, like a couple quick lots on the ambulances as well as the Israeli bandages. But this is more along the lines for an MCI. Should, hopefully we'll never have one, but
Understood.
we don't have enough resources if we,
No, I understand.
do those expire?
so a lot of the stuff on it does not. The one thing that does, if you look in the packet, I have to go back to this real quick, is the combat gauze has a 5-year expiration.
Now, on your MCIs, do you have the EMTs that are like specially trained to deal with like that? If it's, you know,
So I have 4 EMTs that are, because they're also Army vets. We have a lot of, we go through training through, one of our VinTech partners that gives us the training, but it's not the specific, that you would, it's all training that we need to have each year in order to continue our certs.
Right.
But we could get more specific training just to go over it again, but we do these modularities each year, or that we're up on our skills.
Right,
All this stuff you take, you would know being a police officer when you were.
well, we used to train with
You
the
have to-
paramedics and
Right,
the
you have to
EMTs.
Take it and get your CEUs to prove to
Right.
the state that you can renew.
Yeah,
Right.
they would come involved in our, you know, we call them active shooter incidents, and there were certain paramedics and, you know, fire personnel who volunteered to train with us, and, you know, they were supposed to be there if we had,
Right.
you know, an
And that's also
emergency.
additional
Yeah,
training
yeah.
we're due in 2024. We have, I'm preparing an active shooter drill. We're preparing an MCI that would involve, we're hoping like an airplane fuselage type thing.
Sure.
So we can use the items that we have on the ambulance now as training. And then we'll have these in addition to the,
We're lucky to have you guys for sure.
I'm curious, EMS command board, it's kind of the same thing that the chief's command board is it,
A little bit different, but it's specific for EMS, so yeah.
is that for a mass casualty event, is that kind of
it would be as well, yeah. Or,
Even like
Or-
a major motor vehicle accident.
right,
Or even a fire, structured fire,
okay,
where they're
They can
side
go
by
side by
side.
Yeah,
So
you got-
EMS
Yeah.
has theirs, fire has theirs.
Okay.
And everybody works together.
is this a replacement of one before?
No,
no.
no,
we've never
Okay.
had-
nope, that one will go in the car just was talking with the MERV.
Yep.
The Tahoe, the EMS Tahoe, that's where that's gonna be.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
thank you.
Not much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service. Okay. I move that we approve tax refunds in the amount of $3,888, excuse me, $884.67. I'll say that again. $3,884.67 due to overpayment of taxes. Have a second.
Second.
Yeah, pretty standard. Paul's away, there's really nothing. One of the things that I guess happens with these, sometimes we do these monthly. I've asked her that if we can do these at each meeting, folks will get their money back sooner.
Sure.
So that's why it's a smaller amount than normal.
Smart.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Next up. oh, She's got something going on over there. Next up, I move that we approve the tax assessment deferral for 155 Greenwood Avenue from the previous property owner to the new owner as recommended by the EDC. From a second. For discussion, of course. Okay, so. As you know, that there had been an approval of a tax deferral for 155 Greenwood Avenue. And traditionally, when these properties sell, the deferral can go with it. And so that's what we're here to approve today. It was approved by the EDC. So it's a standard deferral that we had approved before, and we continue on with the new order, or new owner rather. I recommend approval as well, but it's discussion.
You know, it was agreed upon originally that.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Yeah, nothing
I don't have
changes.
that
I will make notice here that in the Economic Development Commission in the letter, they do separate 155 Greenwood. And there's something about an amendment to the deferral assessment increase. We'll look at that at a future date. Actually amending the ordinances. I think it's something that we'll probably do a couple of ordinances at the same time coming into the new year. So. Any further discussion? With that, I'll try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay. So we actually had added
Yeah,
the appointment at the end.
wanna do that.
I'd like to do that now. So I guess I'll make a motion to move up the appointment of Thomas Badcock to the next place on the agenda here. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so grab the contrast so I can. I make a motion. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I make a motion that we appoint Thomas Badcock of 30 Reynolds Ridge Road as the tenant commissioner on the Bethel Housing Authority. We have a second. Okay, pretty straightforward. Just so everybody knows, in many cases by state statute, this is an elected position. The folks did not do an election within the period prescribed, which put it into, actually technically I could have just made the appointment, but in the past, we've always done it as board of selectmen. There was a petition at Reynolds Ridge, and this was the only candidate that they put forth. There were like 15 of them, so there's really no reason to do an election. So this was the most expedient way to appoint somebody. Okay, so no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. And I'll forward that along. Okay. So